What's going on, everybody? My name is Ozzy Dris, and this is episode number 7 of the Lykeminded podcast. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Teddy B himself. Teddy, how's it going?
I'm good. And yourself?
Really good, really good.
All right.
Appreciate you being the first guest, actually, on the podcast.
Oh.
Last few episodes were just our members here. Chatting about real estate and whatnot, but
Okay.
we want to mix it up. We want to show appreciation to our tenants here at the Burnsville Center and bring some light to your business here. Teddy, you obviously have a big following, but for those of our audience that doesn't know who you are for whatever reason, especially if they love popcorn, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about yourself, your background and whatnot?
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay.
And so I grew up on the Chicago mix in Chicago. It was like the best back in the 80s, part 90s. But I always wanted to own my own popcorn shop because I like popcorn. So when I moved up to Minnesota in 90, I still had that thought and dream of owning my own popcorn shop. So I started in different fields that would make me more accessible to building a Teddy B's popcorn. So I became a sous chef for 7 years. And I used to travel around the United States opening up restaurants.
Wow. So
that gave me some training of understanding recipes and things of that sort. And also becoming more of a people person. And also have some French background as well for mixing sauces and sherry wines and things of that nature. So I'm okay in the food field.
Okay.
But then after I stopped doing the sous chefing, which a sous chef is an assistant to the chef, I started in logistics, which was with Breathe Right nasal strips.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was their logistics international and domestic manager for 10 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And so at the 10th year, we were bought out by GlaxoSmithKline.
Mm-hmm.
And there was talk of me going to Pittsburgh to run the logistics there.
Mm-hmm.
But the only problem is I'm a Bears fan. So I decided to stay, and that became my opportunity, which Pittsburgh is fine, now that they have Justin Fields, just to say. But I felt that was my calling to start looking more into my business for Teddy B's Popcorn.
Gotcha.
Because being a loyal employee, that's what I was. And if GlaxoSmithKline had never bought Breathe Right nasal strip, then I may still be there.
Right.
So I decided to, not to go to Pittsburgh, I decided to start doing my research more because I've been doing it over the last 10 years before Breathe Right nasal strip was bought out. So I started doing my research and everything and getting my recipes together, becoming the brand. And so once I was there, did my business plan, the marketing company I was working with wanted me to be the face of Teddy B's. And the reason why it had to change from Teddy Bear's popcorn to Teddy B's is because of this guy right here, which is Teddy B.
Okay.
So I didn't want to be the face of Teddy B's popcorn, so I said, there's your face here. So this is actually Teddy B. And he's got Teddy B on his chest and on his foot as well.
Okay.
And the whole teddy bear thing which is my nickname, Teddy Bear. But growing up, going back just a tad, I moved here because of my father, but he died when he was 45 of MS.
Okay.
But I decided to stay because I thought it was a great place to start a business eventually. So I was thinking about this way back in 1990. But for my name was Teddy Bear.
Okay, gotcha.
But as I was little, they'd go Teddy Bear, and I was always responding, but they were talking to my father.
Oh.
So they changed it to Big Bear little bit.
Okay.
And that's how I started to respond. They say Big Bear, they're not talking to me. At times I would still respond. They'd be like, we're not talking to you. Get out of here. I'm talking to your father.
Yeah.
So the teddy bear thing is coming because my name is Theodore.
Yeah.
It carries over Theo. So I created him. I designed him myself. He's supposed to look like me when I was a baby. I just wasn't as hairy. My mother hates that joke. Because she said, well, you trying to say I had animals? I'm like, no, what you did, y'all named me Teddy Bear, so I
mean, come on.
It is what it is, right? So I started to build the brand, and that's how I started to create all of the names to coincide with the flavors. Like I have Butter Bear, Honey Bear, Cheesy Bear, Sugar Bear, Healthy Bear, and Special Bear.
Okay. Gotcha.
And eventually, for each one of those flavors, will become a Teddy B. So when I have mascots, I will end up with at least 6 mascots.
Oh, okay.
Like the Special Bear, I'm still mulling that one over, how I would have him dressed. But I was thinking he would be maybe more tie-dye.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the 60s.
Right.
70s. But you don't want to offend people as well. So that becomes a hard lift. But it'll get figured out.
Right. I was wondering about that, because I look at your menu, I'm like, so where do the Bears come into play? And I knew you were from Chicago, so I'm like, well, yeah, Bears fan, right?
Yes, yeah.
But I think, for my generation, one thing it makes me think of is like the Care Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh yeah, I can see it. So it makes it intriguing. But no, that's pretty cool. Now we know the history.
A little bit, and really the whole naming of each flavor was also because, like, the Honey Bear has pure honey in the recipe, which is our caramel.
Right.
And we don't use any powders or shakers on anything, so everything is more natural and everything's popped in coconut oil.
Yeah.
And we are peanut free, non-GMO, gluten free. So taking a lot of those things out would at least help our popcorn stay fresh longer.
Yeah.
Because even in our bags, the popcorn is it easily stay fresh for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it does.
And actually, our caramel is better 4 days after we make it.
Really?
Yes, because it still needs to caramelize.
Interesting.
And all of these things I've taken great detail in making sure that I was getting it right, in which I've been in business going on 11 years now. So you learn as you go, more your mistakes, and that's what business brings, to only get better.
Right.
So yes, but I was about to say also that the names is what I'm trying to do, is create another language.
Sure.
In which is starting, because I get a lot of people that, like, they talk on Facebook or Instagram, different platforms, and they'll say things like, hey, have you had that Butter Bear? Oh, no, you need to try that Sugar Bear. No, but the best one is the Honey Bear. Okay? Have you tried the Special Bear? And I ran into a little problem with my last 5 stores that I have closed now. It's all stemming from the pandemic. And there's no disrespect to the malls that I've been in. It's just the economy changed.
Right.
But people, when they look at the flavors and they talk about it with me creating this language, it's like it's becoming a style.
Yeah.
And that's all I was thinking about when I was visually seeing this.
It's a subculture, really, is what it is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I get people coming back all the time. I heard about you, and I heard about this Honey Bear or the Butter Bear.
Yeah.
Because, like, even with the Butter Bear, we top it with real butter, which everything is popped in coconut oil, as I said. But putting the real butter on it makes a big difference.
Right.
And I'm not trying to give my competitors any extra ideas here.
Right.
But it does make it better. So
I mean, 100%. It is probably the best popcorn that I've ever had.
Oh, thank you.
Hands down. You were not kidding around. Because my parents and I, we love popcorn. I grew up going to the movie theaters and whatnot, and that's always one thing that we'll get for sure, no matter what, is popcorn. And ever since I've had your popcorn, I'm like, can't really go to the other stuff right now. You know, like it just doesn't. Like you could tell the taste, you could tell the difference and the freshness behind it. I mean, when you say it's good for 2 weeks, I feel like it's good longer than that.
It can last long. I just kind of
like for sure. But the issue is that will it last long because it's so good?
No, right, right.
You can bring like a bucket home and it's gone within like 30 minutes or so. You know, you just because. It's just one of those deals where you're kind of like, okay, I got to keep eating this stuff. It's amazing.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Even myself, I will get a bag every once in a while. I mean, I taste everything that we make every day. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'll take a big extra large bag home and I'll sit there and eat it. And even to this day, I'll be watching a movie or something, I'll be eating. Stuff is pretty good. Like I've never known.
It's like, who made it?
But it's like it reminds me that that's some pretty good product.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And you have to do that because I can't not sell something that I haven't really been tracked on as far as tasting.
Right, yeah. At the end of the day, you have to be confident about your product, right?
Yes.
You know, and that's what separates your average salesperson to like the owner themselves. Like the owner, they believe in the product. They know that it works. They're 100% behind it. You know, they'll die by it. Where like a salesperson, like they just want to make a quick buck and leave. You know, it's nothing against salespeople. I mean, we're all salespeople, right?
True,
but the thing is, we know the value behind what we're selling, as opposed to like your average person, where they don't really care too much. I'd say.
Well, I look at it a lot of times as like I've had a lot of competitors try to figure out what I'm doing. I've even had people walk up thinking that I was just an employee and start asking me questions about what we do, how we do it. Where do you get your product? You know, thinking that I'm an employee that don't really know much, so I just start talking and not realizing who I'm talking to.
Right.
And I will go along with it, but not really giving out any information.
Right.
But it's happened a lot. But I look at it this way: the more popcorn shops that are out here, the better it is for the market.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I always feel that you have to have something to compare something to.
Absolutely.
And I see it a lot now because a lot of people can't eat someone else's caramel because they'll taste it and they go, no, that's not Teddy B's though.
Right.
So
right.
That's just like the platform that I'm creating with the flavors I have. But, hey, I'll just tell people, because a lot of people come and compare, like I had, I'm not going to say the name, but they went to one popcorn shop and they took my popcorn, put it up on Facebook and compared them. And I just look like, oh. But see, with me, myself, I'm very humble.
Okay. Yeah.
And I wish all small businesses most success because I feel that's what helps the economy.
100%. Yeah.
So I'm always got my cheers. They say my pom-poms on cheerleading
yeah.
for all businesses. I just always say that I'm different.
Sure. Yeah.
That's all.
And you are.
Yeah, because we don't use any powders or shakers on anything. So that's a lot different than what is actually in other businesses as far as popcorn. But you made a great point, though, about a lot of places just want to get in because they heard, you great profit margins. And so you just want to get in and throw it together. Right.
And there's no passion behind it, right?
Right.
Like it's a meaning. It's different for you because it's meaningful. You know, like this is something you've been thinking about since the early 90s. You know, so it's like, there's a lot of leverage behind it, you know, mentally and whatnot. There's one thing that you said a while back, and I'm not going to go into the whole story, but you told the customer who was a little disgruntled at one point, and it stuck with me ever since. And I kind of use it as like a motivation for my own well-being. Okay. But I remember you told this customer, is like, you need to get out of your own way.
Oh,
I think you might remember that moment. But I remember you saying that. I'm like, man, that's like a nugget in life, is what I feel like, because essentially we're the only people that hold ourselves back, right, from getting any sort of success. So we have to get out of our own way to get it, and that's stuck with me ever since. And I was like, man, now that I think about it, or if I'm ever like feeling tired. I don't want to. I mean, we're both golfers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ever don't want to like go to the driving range and like hit a few balls or like hit a few putts, I'm like, I better get on my own way and do it anyways.
That's part of who we are as human beings.
Yeah,
it happens. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
But I do find myself in these deep conversations with customers. I mean, I have so many customers that will just stand there and we'll just be talking. And I'm like, I got to go cook. I got to make stuff, But I don't want to push them off,
right?
Because I'm so sociable with everyone. Any customer, they would think that I was part of the family.
Right.
A lot of my long-lasting customers, last 10 years, like for instance, when I was in Bloomington, we've had so many conversations. They like know my parents' name and things. And some people run up to me and I don't even know who they are.
Right.
Teddy. I'm like, hi, how you doing? I'm thinking, who is it? But. Not to be disrespectful.
Right. No. Well, I mean, you see how many people a day, right? You meet a lot of people.
Yes, I do.
It's just part of being a human being. We can't remember everyone.
Right.
But when we do, it's like, oh, we'll talk all day.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's part of customer service.
Yep.
Making people feel that they're special, and it's not being artificial or anything. It's just who I am.
Right. You see good in everyone.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah. 100%.
And when you were saying about like me talking to that one customer, I have a thing that I say. It's two things I always say that stick with a lot of people. Because being from Chicago, I grew up in the projects, and I can play the violin about all that. But I just had an opportunity to stay away from all the negative, even though I was right in the middle of it. Right. Because I used to be like I was an Andy Frayne usher. Just to give a quick point.
Okay.
I was an Andy Frayne usher in Chicago, which I worked all the Bulls games, Bears games as an usher.
Wow.
And the great part about me doing that through high school was when I used to work at the Bulls games at Section 11. If anyone ever remembers that from the old stadium, that's where the players' family used to sit.
Okay.
And like Michael Jordan's mother used to buy me lunch sometimes.
Wow.
Because that was my post.
Right.
Every game, so I couldn't work nowhere else if the Bulls were playing.
Okay.
And I got a chance to meet Michael Jordan so many times. I carried his trophies, and But being younger, a teenager, I did not realize actually greatness that I was around.
Yeah.
Until now.
Well, it wasn't even just Michael. I mean, it was Scotty, Rodman, like all of them.
Yep, all of them. I mean, Walter Payton was right. I'm on the field as an usher working the Bears game, and Walter Payton is like 10 feet from me stretching.
Wow.
But I didn't think. See, I think about all this now.
Yeah.
I know this is not a sports.
No.
This is it's just kind of like, wow, you were actually next. I mean, literally, he was sitting there stretching in the end zone, and I'm standing there because that was my position.
That's crazy.
But to say that working that job, I worked a lot of private parties, in which helped me see the other side of the fence.
Right.
Because when you're growing up in the projects and stuff, a lot of people haven't been within 5 miles out of. And I encourage a lot of people who grew up in, not so great areas to venture out, because when you get a chance to see other things,
right,
it kind of influences you more to know that there's more out there.
Yeah.
And that's really helped me as a teenager, just from what I'm around. Mm-hmm. But back to my point I was building up to was that I tell 2 things always. That a man without a plan is a man that plans to fail. Mm-hmm. A man without a PLAN, a man without a plan is a man that plans to fail. So I tell a lot of these young guys that, and it applies to women too, that if you don't have a plan, the negative is coming.
Yeah.
So you need to be prepared for it.
Right.
And my other thing is, this world is a play, and everybody plays a part.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
And I know it's been said in different ways, but those 2 things has always motivated me.
For sure.
To just keep pushing, no matter what I've been through since the pandemic, because I've closed 5 stores. Mm-hmm. And, it's hard to get along. I mean, I'm not going to get all into, having too much. Sometimes you can have too much loyalty to your to your employees. Mm-hmm. So trying to keep them on, but the debt keeps going up.
Right.
And now you're in real trouble.
Right.
Just because you're trying to hold on to them because you're hoping that the economy is going to turn. And so, I got in a little trouble just holding on too long.
Right.
But I'm here to correct that.
For sure, yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, I think everyone needs a second chance.
Yes.
And yes, it is a business at the end of the day too, right?
Yes,
so sometimes you just got to understand. You got to know how to cut your losses, and it's never personal. It's just business.
Yes, just business.
I think it's just as human beings, we tend to make things personal in our head, where really it's like we have to step outside and kind of like look at and evaluate everything and be like, you know what? This had to happen.
Right.
This had to happen to me, or this had to happen to this person in order for us to get here. And it's just part of life. So yeah, and the how I look at it too is as long as you try and leave on a good term, or like you try to end things on a good term, then everything will be okay. As long as personally for you, like if you approach it and mentally you're thinking about like, hey, this is what happened, but genuinely like, this is how I feel about it, and I just mean nothing but the best. It's not personal. Then you're fine. Then you can go to sleep at night. That's how I say it. It's something I always say when I hear something, when I learn about something negative. Whether it be someone harming another person, I always say, how can they sleep at night?
Right.
Because for me as a human being, I can't sleep at night if I do something wrong to somebody. Like it keeps me up all night.
Yeah, purposely.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah. So how has it been so far since you've rebranded, reopened Teddy B's, brought it back to life for all your for all your customers and whatnot? Because I remember you telling me that I have a big fan base, and and I believe you too, right? Because popcorn, so. But I didn't realize that, like, man, there are really a lot of people like coming out here for your popcorn. I mean, like. And even one of your customers, one of your loyal customers is my mom's coworker, good friend.
I remember that, yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I didn't know you guys had Teddy B popcorn here. I'm like, well, now you know. Tell everyone.
Right.
How has it been so far?
Actually, my expectations was low because I know that the mall is regrouping.
Right.
Got a lot of things going on. But I've been doing okay.
Okay.
We always can be busier, but it's for the long haul.
Right.
Is why I'm here.
Right.
And I've always had an interest in Burnsville, even because I plan on opening 16 stores originally. But that's changed. But I always had an eye on Burnsville because of 42.
Right.
That's one. Is it a county or it's a county?
County.
County,
Yeah,
yes.
road.
Well, that's one county, 42, that it's always busy.
Yep.
No matter what time of year it is, the traffic is there.
Yeah.
And what a great place to advertise.
Absolutely.
So I've always looked at that as, in which Burnsville is definitely coming back with all the things that they're working on and new floors and I've met so many people who are not coming to tears, but they actually thought this mall was closing. They even asked me, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, what do you mean?
Working.
They're like, well, this mall is closing. And so I've always tried to defend Burnsville Mall by switching that up, saying, yeah, well, they're about to switch the floor out, and, this is opening up, and trying to motivate them. And actually, a lot of people have become a lot happier.
Yeah.
Because the mall's not closing.
Right.
Because you do have a really deep personal fan base here in Burnsville.
Yeah. No,
people grew up here.
Yeah. The community south of the river in general, is like Burnsville Center was their Mall of America, was their MOA, essentially. So it's like that. It's very meaningful to them, which is really nice. Meaning that we have the communities back. Right. Which when you have the communities back, it's easier to get things done, and it's meaningful because mentally then you have that support, and it's more encouraging and motivating. Yes. More than anything.
Yes, that's very true.
But yeah, we should wrap it up.
Yes.
Man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Just to get a chance to, put myself out there and also speak on the Burnsville Mall, for what it's doing. I mean, you guys I have to say, you guys are doing your thing.
Thank you.
Because I see you all running through here all the time with a lot of different people. So, I mean, that is so encouraging.
Yeah.
But I also like to do my part by smelling up the mall.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every time I do a big popcorn pop and I'm making stuff, the smell, just like I'm the Pied Piper, they just start showing
start
up
coming
like 20
through.
minutes later.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the future.
Well, I had just a real quick, one of the mall walkers. We have mall walkers every day.
Yes.
But one of them was like, I'm really grateful for what you guys are doing here. I've bought like 80 bags from Teddy. I'm like, man, I got to catch up.
Right.
But yeah, we really appreciate you being here at the Burnsville Center. We appreciate being part of the Burnsville Center family, and we're excited for your success.
Yes, I do appreciate you all having me here. I mean, I'm gonna do my part.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do ours.
More. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you all for tuning in to episode 7 of the Like-Minded podcast. Tune in next time.